Hi guys, ciao ragazzi, benvenuti, welcome everybody. We are on Fratelli di Rugby podcast and on Fratelli di Rugby YouTube channel. Today we're gonna speak about coaching. We're gonna talk about defense, and I think the most important thing to say now is to give a warm welcome. Benvenuto a Leonardo. Leo, how are you?
Ciao Otto. Yeah, everything okay. Always nice to see you and chat rugby early in the morning.
Yeah, early in the morning on Saturday. That's amazing, right? We're just showing love for the game, for the philosophy of life, let's say, because early in the morning on Saturday, you think about games usually, or you're just waking up watching games from Super Rugby, or you're speaking about rugby with somebody. So great.
It's a full-time passion.
Yeah, full-time passion. So, Leo, today we're going to speak about defense because we saw how the Rugby World Cup ends with massive defensive efforts by not only the Springboks, but in general. Let's say defense won the titles. The tickets were sold by the attack, but I think also by the defense in this last World Cup.
Yeah, I think both sides of the ball, when they were on it, they were amazing. When the defense works well and it's organized and everyone knows their roles and their system, it's really hard to go through. If you look at the semi-finals, 30 odd phases of defense from New Zealand, just patience. If you look at South Africa, just grinding out 3 wins on the bounce to get to that final. But on the other side, when the attack worked against such good defenses, it was an incredible attack to see. Like, we had some super interesting, super entertaining bits of attack from the World Cup.
And today, speaking about the defense and the World Cup, we're gonna go try to dig into the defense of the Springboks, and not only that, we're gonna try to bring in general some more information about what is a defensive system, how we set in defense, how we fold around the racks every time, and how we move. So I'm gonna just open our presentation for today, and then we're gonna also see a couple of videos. They're gonna help us in the presentation to fix some elements of defense in this case. Of course, we're gonna speak about also kicking pressure, no, because that is the big thing: transition, defense, attack, defense, and that is key in the World Cup and in the Springboks game plan. So
absolutely.
Let's go with the Egyptians, with the pyramids here.
Straight into it. I thought when you said, let's do a little bit about defense, I thought, right, what could I have needed? What would have been helpful for me 6-7 years ago when I started coaching, to see or to have, or not even a framework, just a couple of ideas to get me started, to get my brain moving. And I thought something so simple probably would have helped a great deal when I was just starting coaching back in my college days. And I thought about defense, and I thought, right, what makes a very solid base for my defense? And for my defense, it's behaviors and technical abilities. And by behaviors, I mean the attitude towards contact, the attitude to go forward, the effort to get into position, the effort to communicate. So all those things that I call behaviors, habits. Some people call non-talent battles, because you don't need talent to do those things, right? You just need to want to do it and get it done, and for it to become a behavior, for it to become a habit. My technical abilities would be obviously your tackle technique, your ability to move around the corner, your ability to move lateral, and that is all stuff that we do in contact clubs, some people call it School of Contact. I used to call it Contact Smart at my previous club, and it's just your 5-7 minutes of repetition, high physical effort, high contact effort to create that behavior, to enhance those technical abilities. And then I went, right, what's after that? it's my tactical understanding, it's my set piece defense, so my roles of scrum, line out, restarts. Okay, whether it's a 22, a goal line, a proper restart, because it's become its own set piece. And then obviously phase defense, my own 22, their 22. Just slightly differences in where we want our backfield, how we want our wingers to defend, and obviously in their 22, just big eye on discipline, not to give them an easy way out. And then obviously something that we are going to look at today is your transition to defense. So our exits, our tactical kicks for the corners, 50-22 opens up so much stuff.
So many.
Transition to defense, like we're going to see later for the Springboks. And yeah, that's very quickly, very simply what a defense could be like. Coaches will do things in different ways. Coaches will call things in different ways, and it's the same, just in a different language, if you will. But very, very simple way to go. Right, I'm a new coach, or I'm a coach that is just playing around with defense. What should I consider? What should I be looking at?
And I think it's important to underline that this is our point of view on what is defense, and on this is the theory, and then of course there is all the practice. So each of these words that we can see in this pyramid is being developed in the field, and with the potential of the players that we have, because not all the players tackle in the same way. They're not only chop tacklers, only jugglers. Maybe they have some issues and they're growing, because this is something that we can start from early age to maybe an amateur club, let's say, but also academy of Premiership. Every system works with the bodies, the people that you have, that you coach with, and you live with. So
yeah,
let's go.
It's important to find the right way in between. So if I've got very good players, it's really easy for me to go, right, okay, this is what I want to do, let's do it. If you've got developing players, or you in a lower league, or just a new group of players, for whatever reason, it's important that you understand where your philosophy and their abilities meet, to then develop them into closer to what you want to get out of it.
Yeah, and also if you're like maybe a new coach, sometimes you can find really strong teams, like in defense. In my case, when I was in Ecuador, my team was really good in defense, but we had some issues in attack. So let's keep that defense really well with those principles. I don't have to change it too much because it works. Just I had the green lights for the juggle sometimes, that but lower levels, and we develop more of attack. But yeah, I agree with you how important it is depending by the people that you have. Let's go to the cycle of defense, so we can go straight to the how works the defense.
Yeah, like it is a cycle. It's just something that happens and happens and happens and happens, and it only stops when you get the ball back. Right. So it's really, really important for my boys, where I've coached before and where I coach now, is that they understand that we defend hard and aggressive because we want to get the ball back. Because without the ball, you can't play rugby. Okay, if you're New Zealand, you can defend for 36, 38 phases in a semi-final and win it. But if you do that for the whole game, the opposition is gonna get one on you at some point. So it's really important that we understand why we defend, and we defend to go and attack. And then we understand the cycle to get us there. So a tackle has happened. Okay, hopefully we tackled. And it needs to be an aggressive tackle. And what I used to call it is slightly changed now in my new environment, but I used to call it EHC, so eyes, hips, and control. Eyes on the target, so I know what's happening in front of me. Hips is where we're going to hit. Well, obviously, with the new tackle law, if you go for hips, you have a big margin of error if you slip. And then control the wrap with your punch through, and control to play the ball. So if I can have time in tackle, TIT, I can then slow that play the ball down. I can kill their momentum and let my defense get organized. As I'm in tackle, I'm the next defender. If I can't affect that breakdown, I need to scan. Do I need to hold where I am on the side of the breakdown, or do I need to fold? and that is a movement that needs to happen fast. Okay, because I want to be set before the attack. I want to be able to press and go again. So as can I hold or fold, right? If I'm folding, I'm going. I need to get my spacing right. I need to be connected and disciplined behind that breakdown. I don't want to give silly penalties away. Once I got that right, once I'm set, I'm in a good position to go and press. Okay, and having a good fold with good spacing and good discipline allows me to go really, really hard at them, shot the option, be aggressive, and double shot. And we just keep going and going and going until they kick it away. They knock it on because we challenge the skill set. They throw a 5-man miss pass and I get the ball back for whatever reason. Or I get a jackal because I've been so aggressive. I've put them on the offside and they got no support. And then I go and attack. I go and spark him.
That's perfect. And what I want to add to this, because it's perfect in this way, how important it is to be proactive and not only reactive to what is the scenario in front of you, almost trying to understand what is going to be next for the attack from the defensive point of view.
There's a bit of both. So your first 3-4 defenders, they're just going to go. They know they can just go and
like a broom, they just wipe everything up.
They can, and that's why. So South Africa calls their first 4 or 5 defender their containment wall. So they just go and contain the attack. They just go and hit stuff, and they can do it really, really well. But your 5th, 6th, even your 4th defender at times, but 5th onwards, they are the guys that really need to be careful, and we're going to look at it later. And those are the guys that really need to be aggressive in line with the ball, never past it, because otherwise you're going to get done behind you. And those are the ones that need to be a little bit more careful, a little bit more proactive and reactive to shut the option, but also to be able to go again. And we'll see later with a couple of South Africa example. And when you do it well, it's really, really good to see.
It's a piece of art when it works, right? So we spoke about like South Africa use a lot of defenders to create this containment wall because they are fast go up, invading the opponent area. So also in that way they don't go over the advantage line. No, they prevent this with going up. I think we can move on the defensive setting, how we can understand the defensive setting in front of a set attack.
Yeah. So you start obviously with your breakdown, which is our tackler on the floor with the circle. Okay, he's tackled, is in there. He's given us good timing tackle, which means we're all set. Perfect set, perfect scenario. You'll have to tend to the blind side, to the short side, whatever you call it in your system. And depending on how many numbers they have and how big it is, you may have to keep 1, 2, 3. In this case, we've got 3. The first one is a -1, and it just stay there as he still press. Okay, we still want both sides of the breakdown to press or to hammer or to go up, however you want it to go, to fly, whatever you want to call it. But obviously they're there. We call it minus because they're in the short side. The chances that they're going to get played there, not realistic, not big. You then go to your wider part of the pitch, and you go 1, 2, 3. Some people go further. They go 4, 5, 6, forwards, backs, whatever it is. We call it 1, 2, 3, and it's something new. I didn't used to do that. I just used to get the boys set and get ready to set. But in the environment I'm in now, they call it 1, 2, 3. So let's adapt to it.
ABC depending every time, yeah.
Yeah. It's some people go 1, 2 ABC or 1 ABC. It's completely dependent on what the coach
wants. Word.
Yeah. Even your theming, like even you could change with the theming that you have. Let's look at the roles and what they do. So the 1 is usually a meter away from that breakdown. The 2 is 2 meters away from that breakdown. And the 3 is probably 4 meters away from the breakdown. And usually the 3 is in front of what we think is going to be the first receiver. Exactly that. So
usually, we put it here because normally, let's say when there is a pot of 9, the ball usually goes to this player because as double option plus the backdoor pass. That's why the number 3 goes up here, straight up no in weird position, weird running lines. Go straight up in front of the attacker, ball
Yeah,
carrier.
everyone moves forward. So the first 3 steps are always forward for everyone. We say square, people say whatever they want to say. The role for the 1 and 2 is to watch 9 and inside 9. So 1 and 2 still move forward. Okay, obviously we can't move until that ball is in the air. We've got to stay square and on that press until the ball is in the air. If the 9 comes a little bit wider, the 1, instead of coming sideways and following and opening up that breakdown, is going to stay square. The 2 is going to take care of him. The 1 is going to look off that inside ball. Yeah, exactly that. So that's covered. The 3 goes square and super, super hard, and everyone outside of them has to go as hard as they can in line with the ball. So they'll all move, everyone moves forward. And the point is to go and shut the option and be in the eye line of that ball carrier. Because imagine at my level, 17, 18-year-old player, they're good players, they're academy players, they're all fighting to get a contract at the end of it. But I can guarantee you, if I'm here with the ball and I'm looking to throw a pass and I see a defender in line with me, chances are I'm just going to take that ball and carry, or I'm going to give a shorter pass. Because I know if I give that pass, there's an intercept option, and there's also an option that he is going to get absolutely banged. So it's really, really important that we press high. Otherwise, we just let them go outside of our containment wall.
And it becomes really key in this defensive environment, like the link players, right? Because, of course, it's easy to see, okay, this is the guy in front of me, but when we have to go look at these players, how they move on the second layer of attack, how we go close, shut door, shut options. It became so dangerous for the attack, but so important for the defense to prevent that.
Yeah. Obviously, there's backfield defense that we have to consider. There's a 9 that we haven't even touched on. So the 9, some teams put it as the last defender after the forwards. Sorry, as the first defender after the forwards. So we'll go just in between. Yeah, exactly there. South Africa with Faf de Klerk, he's pretty much got freedom to do whatever he wants. He just goes and annoys teams. He just goes hard and tries to make the play dirty. And we'll see an example of that in a minute.
No, Faf de Klerk that move there.
And some people put that 9 behind the breakdown, and he can plug the holes. So if our fold is not effective, he can just jump into spaces and be connected. Some people always have 9 on blind. I've personally had some people will just go 9 on blind all the time. I've personally gone for, I used to have 9 on the blind side. I've now gone with 9 can plug holes. It very much depends on what kind of 9 you have. If it's a smart player that can be physical, I've got no issues with him being anywhere and him having an effect on that tackle. If it's a 9 that's a little bit shy on contact, I may have him in behind the rock to cover those chips, especially in between their 10 and obviously my try line, my 22 effectively. Again, it's entirely up to what sort of personnel you have, what sort of bodies you've got access to, really.
That's true. And so we say, for example, in Faf de Klerk, free to move wherever he needs, but we saw him. We're gonna see him in the videos playing in this position, for example, and in other situation we're gonna see him here. So just for reference, for the next videos, we're gonna take a look. It's gonna be interesting to see how it's changed every time, because, like you said, on the blind side, usually the Auckland Blues, they put the players there. They're 9, always like -1 is the number 9. Italy sometimes put him on the like here, or blind or open, but in the last last defender almost.
Yeah.
Right, that is a little bit the style that we saw.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we covered pretty much everything we needed on our defense setting. You know, your wingers will take second to last and go really hard on them with fullback and 10 going for closing. But that's a very, very good basic understanding of roles and responsibilities there.
So let's move to another level of defense, which is the box kick defense, pressure transition. Let's say it's when we want the ball back, we want to win that ball back, and something that we saw how important was for the Springboks. Thinking about the game against France, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, super basic setup. People call them hunters. People call them dogs. People call them chasers. You can call it whatever you want. If you got a different theme, you can call it whatever you want. We've used hunters because it's something we used in our Italian one. So yeah, let's go through the breakdown. So you've got your ball carrier on the floor, which is our forward laying across. You then got 2 and then 1-1. So 2 for width, 2 for length. So it looks something like that. They are part of your chase. They are part of obviously your what we call a caterpillar. It's not a 7-man caterpillar like Chiefs or Gloucester used to do anymore. But it's just a 5-man effectively because it's 1 on the floor, 2 at the front, 2 at the back, and they are the ones there. Sorry, Otto.
No, I said 2-1-1. No, like the scheme how they go. These 2, 1, and 1.
Exactly, and they are the guys that are going to give you your width in your defensive line and chase, because they still go and chase because they'll be onside as soon as those hunters are past them. Obviously 9 kicks, we're just outside of 22, so the ball has to stay infield. Okay, can go straight out, and we're looking for a kick somewhere on the 15 so we can really go hard and box them in. You'll have your 2 forwards on the blind with a winger. Okay, the winger is chasing. Obviously, depending on how close you get to that touch line, you may have 1 forward, 1 wing. But on the 15, you roughly want to have 3, and then you'll have your fast forward just outside of that breakdown, which is our open side forward. They'll go and chase. So the forward and the winger, they'll go hard and try and get that ball back. As they are doing so. Everyone else, there you go, that's the one. As they're doing so, everyone else is giving us our spacing. Obviously, we see that F and B are very tight, so they're going to give us a little bit of spacing on the outside, and we are still going hard and up on that chase. The better teams will move that ball if they get it back, and if our chase isn't effective. So we need those backs and those forwards to get their spacing and really go high to stop them effectively.
One of the biggest example, if you guys have chance to watch, was, for example, South Africa before the Rugby World Cup against Wales, when they score using they kick the ball, they regain the possession, they move the ball twice, and they kick again. And then Mason Grady made a big mistake there, but with defensive pressure there, and he tried the ball forward, and Creel can just score the ball. But that was 2 kicks, but whole defense, because it was all pushing, and a defense scored the try at the end because Mason Grady lost the opportunity. Let's go see what they did against, for example, the differences application of box kick style from 2 different teams. So we go and take a look at South Africa and England, so we can see how they cover, how they defend, how many players go for the ball, how many goes for the tackle. So I will move here, and this is an example really pretty similar to this one that we just showed. So I think it's interesting to see who are the guys in this, and what is the difference with the theory we just said. They have this box kick shield, which instead of having a long caterpillar with Duan Vermeulen in that position, they have like a slower forward that can cover behind the chase which is oh my God, Kissoff. And then, of course, there is Siagolisi on the side and big man Ebenezer on the other one, and of course the wing. So the wing is going to be the real hunter, the real chaser, but all around they can pick that ball, they can catch the ball, they can tackle hard the player, or just keep the ball there and move it fast outside. So they, in this case, they use two on one side, one axis in the axis, and one on the open side for the chase. So four-man chase in this case for them with a different style.
Yeah, they go really, really hard on their chase, and you can see here they're all around the ball, but you can also see on the left of the screen the guys that were in the breakdown that were really, really hard to give us that spacing, pretty much outside of Edsbeth. A couple of them will go on the blind because they'll have to cover that space, but you can see a couple of them are going really, really hard to get outside of Edsbeth and give us that defensive spacing. So once England gets the ball back, because they shielded, they bubbled their catcher, I think that's Freddie Stewart really, really well. We are now South Africa. I'm saying we. South Africa is now set. Is now set to stay on that first picture we've seen. So they now got their containment wall, they got their backs on the outside, and they can go and put pressure.
Yeah, they go back, let's say, in this position, more or less. They try to go back there. From this situation, they want to move. And we can see, for example, Vermeulen is here, and then all the backs, that the forwards that were here, really, they moved, and they are already creating that wall that you are saying. On the other side, let's see England, for example. In this case, they put one almost axis, which is Jamie George here, but they put three players for the ant, but only one, which is the wing in this case. Daly goes, but doesn't go for the catch. He goes to slap the ball and bring the ball back. If you see how he goes on top, and all the escort is around to create maybe a ball from the chaos, and from there move the ball quick. But they just send one big hunter and three catchers escorting the player there, and we can see there's no shield by South Africa.
No, it's a good contested ball, probably in position to get the slap back, but at the same time you can still see the guys that were in that breakdown working really, really hard to give us that width. You can see Jamie George has gone a little bit on the close, so he's gone from his axis position, he's probably gone in a little bit to apply that pressure, but then he's got, I think that's Cole just behind him. Yeah, so effectively they will try from that breakdown. You'll want your slower forwards going closer to the breakdown, so your second rows, back rows outside of it, and then you'll have your backs on the wide. And exactly the same as South Africa, they are trying to get the ball back, obviously. Okay, that would be the perfect outcome. But if you can't, you then go back to your defensive setup, and you can go and apply pressure again.
And they love to apply pressure every time the ball is in their hands, using the kicking game. So let's move on the other strategy that South Africa used during the World Cup, and another way to attack with the defense, the ball in the air. So let's move on this, which is on the eyeball, on the bomb. So many different way to call this kind of kick you can find, but let's say is the kick from the 10 in the wide channel in the 15 meters area. More or less, that is the kind of kick.
They done it super well against France. I don't know if it was something they spotted in their analysis or it's something that they saw in the game, but it usually happened after set piece. So like one phase out or one or two phases after set piece, they would go bomb, get the ball back, and I think they scored one or two tries off it. I think. Look, similar setup again. You've got your hunters. You've got your either a forward or a back in between them. You've got where we put cover. I think South Africa put their 15, so they go from attack setup, so they are ready to move the ball. Now that 15, that would have been like a second playmaker on the second shape, can go and drop back in his post defense position. Obviously, the 10 will drop back in your post defense again. and then those guys in the pod will become obviously their first containment wall and walk towards that breakdown. But South Africa did it so well a few times that they got the ball back and they didn't need to set up their containment wall. They just set straight into that second phase of attack.
So when the ball is being kicked, it goes down here. This is the different scenario, how it's changing. So we have the hunters up with the escort and the wall created again. The 10 dropped, as you said, and these guys, they're gonna create the wall too again. And the wing, of course, from this side, it can go up. And also going to pressure again because there is the cover behind in the backfield, let's say. So they are set again in this way. Yeah, I think against France there was pretty was spotted because, as you said, two phases open the ball, maybe one phase wide. They want to go wider to bring the fullback and the wing, and maybe the 13 all in that rack. So they work on the backfield transition, like how they moved around, and if they're not properly set, they can have some issues, because when they kick against France, there was only Dupont and Woki, but Woki didn't have space to move, to jump in the air. The ball was straight on top of him, and it's hard because you have players with a different they're running towards you, so that's changed a lot.
Yeah.
And good kick by Libbok, let's say. Sometimes we will say about Libbok, but Manny Libbok kicks really well in this case, and this is something from before the British Irish Lions. So
yeah,
now let's go see a couple of videos speaking about how important is the link player that goes up and down, the guy that has to decide what to do every time.
Yeah,
that is the most complicated situation, right?
Yeah, well, we spoke about it earlier. Your first 4 defenders don't really have much decision making to do. Like, they'll still have to press from the inside once the ball gets past them. They still have to think about those tips and those pullback options. But the reality is they're just going to go up and hit stuff. The guys outside of them, some people call it check release, some people call it go check go, some people call it fly check fly. But the common thread is the check. And what we speak about is you are effectively checking. So what I'm doing is I'm going up in line with the ball, like we said earlier. But now I've got to think, right, is the lead runner going to take the ball and I have to step in and bang him? Or is the ball going to go behind him and I need to check and go? So that's where the check comes from for me when I coach the boys. I tell them, call your check if you need to, because every check is a little step. Because if the second I planned, I'm finished as a defender. If I'm soft on my feet, if I'm checking my feet, I can then go again if they play behind, or I can step in for a tackle. So I always tell them, check. And they get it. When they get it right, it looks exactly like what the Springbok did.
Yeah, because the key role in the Springboks back line, if we speak about backs, was Kriel, the 13, that does really well this kind of movement. The same with the 9, because it's free to understand, so knows where to go, shut the door, shut the option. And if we want to say a name on the forward of South Africa, Pieter-Steph du Toit really played well in this check and release, go up or not. So I'm gonna put the video for this, Leo, because this is the scenario we are gonna speak about. So the 13 that has, for example, in this option, Sexton going, but there is also the player on the hard run. We have soft runners on the white arrows and red on the hard lines. So there are a lot of differences, and was great in the way he closed. He decided where to go. So let's see on the video. So let me share this, and I want to remember everybody to follow us on YouTube, because you can rewatch this video, and of course on every streaming hearing platform, Spotify and all the other friends like that. So let's move on yes, here we go. So we have two difference. We have this one, and then I'm gonna put the other one, Leo, because here we have this check and release.
Yeah. So you see him. He's in line with the ball. He's there. He's going hard on it. I would be in my eyes. He's probably going in a little bit too hard, but they want to work up, so I'm not going to tell him that. So he's there. He's checking. The second that ball lifts again, he sees the pullback. He sees the 13 isn't an option anymore. He's checked him out, and he can just go through that hard line and go put pressure on. Is that Sexton?
Yes, on Sexton.
And he can go put pressure on Sexton. Obviously, he's got his forwards coming on the inside press. He's got his inside centre. They can press so hard. If they were pressing super hard, they would have banged him. But they still do a good job of. He puts pressure on. He's got his inside cover. Threat finished. For me, if I was coaching them again, I wish I would tell these guys, right? We are all super folding. We're all going around that corner. But Ireland is super tight. They're trying to go through you. We need the 12 and probably whoever was inside of 12 to press super hard from the inside and get rid of that threat. Because if those guys were in line with Creel, they would have banged Sexton's inside there, and Ireland would have lost another 6 meters.
Like the inside of the 12, like a player here in the middle that can go and do this kind of move.
Yeah. But to be fair to Ireland, they done super well in that game, especially off set piece, playing those outside to inside balls to keep South Africa on their check for as long as possible. It was the first time I've seen South Africa not struggle, but concede such gain line advantage off set piece.
And from the attacking point of view, how important is Aki that keep running, because the player that flat and maybe can close that inside that we are speaking about now, it just blocked by Aki.
Exactly. If you take me back an extra second, keep going. See how he's planted, because he's preempted Aki to just bang through, because that's Aki's superpower, super strength. So he's planted, which means he can't check release. And that's where the inside press not being there comes from. Because now he's been held by Aki. He can go and press on the inside hard.
And the other point here, it's interesting, like how in Italy we say baptized, not battezzato, like the player here, the 13 that goes in, nobody's going to take him because they realize the better option is the back door, so he can go through because nobody is getting blocked by the 13. So the Allende doesn't move on the left side, but they know what to do, and the tackles arrive. Spoken about the same kind of shape, we were speaking about Faf de Klerk, no? How he is free to do whatever he wants to do on the second line of attack, for example, now shooting the options.
Yeah,
and
here you can see they still press forward, they still press square, they go super hard. But you can see how Creel and who's that winger on the left?
On the left is Kolbe.
Yeah, and they don't really consider him for the spacing. You see how Faf has gone super tight because he's already made his mind up. He's just going to fly and go and mess that up for them. And you'll see it. Yeah, you'll see in a second. He just goes. It's a good check release from Creel again, but Faf just goes, makes it dirty for Ireland because he's so high. 15 is never going to give that pass to Aki. And that means Creel can then come through and get that tackle in.
So perfect connection of the two together. One doing his job, let's say Creel doing his job and doing the extra job on his way, on his game plan, let's say for Faf de Klerk on this side. Because it's so hard, like you said, Keenan cannot move the ball here because every ball maybe is going to be a dirty ball, and this guy here, Cheslin Kolbe, is just looking at what's happening. If the ball is going to be free in the air, it's going to go up.
But you can see his feet. Kolbe is still open enough. If that ball moves, he can turn and put pressure on Aki. But because that threat is gone, because Faf made that dirty for them, the tackle has happened. He doesn't need to worry about that anymore, and he can go and reset.
Yeah, and another big thing is South African defense is all up. Also, Oxenche is standing up now. And how many players has France in the Ireland on the field? 3 players there, and plus other 2 with only one slowing that ball
Yeah.
from South Africa. So worked really well. Let me see if I found quickly the other video they were saying about the pressure that we didn't show before, but this was when you don't go for the catch. This we didn't show it in the Italian one, but this against Ireland was another good example of the boxing pressure, how it works properly. So let me just put this on for a second. Boxing pressure. Okay, on this side we see we found Jesper Wiese, Kolbe, and of course Colisi. But then there is also Kitsov again in that position. On the floor there is Franz Malherbe and Franco Mostert, Bonambi win the shield. So the ball goes up. Okay, I cannot go for the ball. You say Kolbe closing, no the space. There's no space. A lot of defenders, but look how good is this, because they leave the space, but boom, back. So the 2 forwards, the 2 hunters, they go for McHansen in the best way possible, because they shut the threat now, and they are already taking information with Kolbe moving behind and asking, hey, let's do something different here, let's cover there. So
Yeah.
pressure, Leo.
Yeah, it's we go off before the current environment I'm in, I used to go off an average phase defense. So I would look at the average phases the league I was in would have to play, and then I would go 2 phases extra. And all my training was based on, right, if we can defend for those many phases by being disciplined, aggressive, and connected, we can be in a system. Something is going to happen to give us the ball back. They're either going to knock it on, kick it, we're going to get it back, they're going to give away a penalty or whatever. Obviously, at that level is a little bit more different. I would love to be a fly on the wall and be there when they cycle their defenses, when they go for it. But I think
the behavior of the attacking players, that's great to see. Like, hey, the guy always does that.
For a new coach, or for a coach that is maybe just starting to look at the other side of the ball, at the defensive side of the ball, keep it simple. Make sure there's clarity in what you want. Don't make it confusing for them. Just if they can go out and be simplistic and have clarity, they can really get their roles right. Then that's most of the job done. And then you can start layering, and obviously the better player come through, and you can start layering and keep getting better.
Yeah, following some steps, not overthinking about, oh my God, I have to do this. No, just start from that kind of from specific side, and then from there you can grow up. But you cannot just put a big plant in a little pot.
Yeah.
You need more plants in the adapted to every pot or pods that you're in front of you every time. So that's everything for us, Leo. 40 minutes, a little bit less, a little bit more, but here we go. First half is done. Was a pleasure to have you here in this coaching corner. We're gonna find the right name. Maybe we're gonna ask the followers on Instagram and everywhere what's the best way to call this. But that's it for today. You have rugby today, Leo.
I've got rugby. I got some work to do for Monday. I got some prep to do for Monday. I may look at doing a preview for Wednesday's game, but I don't know. I've got the weekend.
Okay, great. So have a great weekend. Thanks to be with us, Leo, and everybody who's gonna listen and watch this video podcast and podcast on Spotify on Fratelli Rugby. So see you next time, and now ciao a tutti.
Thank you.